Voodoo Whiskey Gaming, and this is my late review of Call of Duty World War II. I played it on the Xbox One, it's also available on the PS4 and PC. So this is the first Call of Duty in a very long time to tackle another real world war, and well, really the only world war that Call of Duty has ever tackled. That having been said, Call of Duty is back in World War II, and it's back in the European theater. You play as Red, who is just about as unmemorable as so many of the other Call of Duty characters. They do give him backstory, they do give him the gal at home, etc., and you are in there with one of your best friends who you met in boot camp, Zussman, who honestly is a far more memorable character than the main character. Not to say that the main character is all that bad, he's just not super memorable. While the story is very good, to put it simply, if you've ever played a World War II video game that takes place in the European front, or watched Saving Private Ryan, then you know what this is. This story doesn't do anything magical or really all that new or innovative. It doesn't shed light on things you never knew from World War II. It just does a good job of telling a story about a group of soldiers. I mean, it's nothing new. That having been said, it wasn't bad. I did enjoy the story. One thing I do want to add in about the story, though, is that as much as they make it sound like this is going to be the most authentic World War II experience ever, blah, 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 the reality of it is it's still very Call of Duty. There's still these grand action sequences that are just well beyond the realm of reality. It's not like space lasers and shit, but it's still stuff that you're like, yeah, likelihood of that actually working, not so much. Likelihood of them actually surviving that, again, not so much. So despite all the noise about this being truly grounded in reality, there is still that over-the-top bullshit. Which, I mean, makes for an entertaining view, but it's not necessarily realistic. Next up, the audio. The audio is fantastic in this game, from the music to the sound effects, from when you're shooting to when the bombs are going off to, well, just any of the sound effects really. They're all very well done. The voiceover work as well. The voiceover work is very good in this game. The performances from the voiceover actors, it's all excellent. I'm also including the zombie mode in that, despite the fact I would say the campaign is obviously far more important for voiceover work. And everyone in that, all the actors who they captured, as well as just lent their voices to the characters, all of that was fantastic. Onto the gameplay. To put it simply, it doesn't do anything revolutionary. The campaign is mission by mission once again, with brief interludes for cutscenes, as well as your guy writing in his journal to send letters back home. It is more grounded, there's not crazy powers and whatnot in the multiplayer or the single player. There's obviously some crazier stuff going on in the zombie mode, but as for the campaign, it's pretty standard. It's a little more standard than previous ones. It doesn't do what Black Ops does, where you can pick a loadout before you go in. You just start a mission and you've got the guns that they give you and you pick them up as you go along. One new thing they did do in the campaign is certain squad mates can toss you med kits, ammo, grenades, even marks for artillery. So there's that. There's also a few stealth elements once again, and I will say the stealth in this game is not amazing. The stealth sections in the campaign, it would have been just as good without them. As for the multiplayer, I would say it goes backwards a bit, not in a negative way, it just is more simplified than the more recent Call of Duties. The only thing that I would say is really unique is you can pick a division to be in: armored, infantry, airborne, etc., and they have certain benefits for certain weapons. Armored gets a bipod for their LMGs, airborne can get a suppressor for their SMGs, etc., things like that. The social space is really kind of pointless. There is really no good reason to do it other than just some added activities that don't necessarily add a ton of benefit to the game. I played War Mode again. I really enjoyed that. I am disappointed but not entirely surprised that it is not in Hardcore Mode. I didn't play it a lot because of that fact. I personally believe in Hardcore Mode. I don't see the point in regular mode. I like Hardcore Mode. I think it's the great equalizer. Next up, the Zombie Mode. They went back to a more horror-themed concept like when Zombie Mode first appeared. It's not as wacky as Call of Duty in Space's Zombie Mode. It is much more objective based like recent zombie modes. Your goal is to get points by killing zombies to open gates and activate certain things to progress through it. But like I said, it's not so tongue-in-cheek, it's not so wacky, it doesn't really have much of a sense of humor. But it's pretty standard. You can do basically all the same stuff from the previous one, like create a loadout for your character, customize guns, so that when you buy them off the wall, they'll have sights, they'll have foregrips, etc. None of that is particularly new. To put it simply, while it's nice that they went back to a more horror theme, it doesn't add anything more than any previous zombie mode has added. Zombie mode is still fun. I'm not saying that it's crap and a waste of time, it's just nothing new and revolutionary. Lastly, the graphics. Wow, this is an excellent looking game. This is one of the better looking games this year in my opinion. I'm actually really impressed by the graphics. From the environments to the weapons to the characters, it's a great looking game. So to summarize Call of Duty World War II, it's a good game and I did enjoy playing it. I enjoyed the campaign, I enjoyed the zombie mode, I enjoyed the multiplayer. But the reality of it is, it's so heavily hyped, and I think that comes from the fact that it's simply not Call of Duty in space. A lot of people were really pissed off that Infinite Warfare was going that futuristic with it, so when it was announced that the next Call of Duty was going to be in World War II, everybody just lost their shit. Everybody was like, oh, it's so fucking great, it's going to be World War II, we're back to something more grounded. Which, yeah, that's fine, but the reality of it is, it's not like this is now the greatest Call of Duty ever made. I mean, is it the worst? No. Is it better than a lot of the recent entries? Yes, absolutely. That having been said, if you're looking for a good first-person shooter, this is a good first-person shooter. Okay, so in the comments below, why don't you tell me what war generation, I guess, Call of Duty should do next? Korean? Vietnam? Or should it go back to modern, which honestly, that would be my preference. As always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. And if you like what I'm doing in general, share or subscribe. Have a good one.